All right. I'm so excited to welcome Jenna. Jenna is from the North Bay in California. She graduated from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in 2020 with a degree in biology and a concentration in wildlife and biodiversity conservation. After graduating, Jenna spent 2 years moving from place to place conducting wildlife research all over the United States. So now I will pass it over to Jenna to talk more about her work this year with the La Sierra Food Project and Feather River RCD in Plumas County.
Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me? Cool. I guess I'm just gonna jump right into my service year here in Plumas County. So a little background about the region. Plumas County is nestled in the mountains in the northern Sierras, right below the Southern Cascades. It has a really low population, with it being just under 22,000 people in the whole county. We're mostly a forested county, so we have over 1 million acres of national forest land, hundreds of lakes, hundreds of streams. We're at the top of a watershed. So lots of Forest Service land and almost 200,000 acres of agricultural land. And I want to acknowledge that the Feather River watershed is ancestral lands to the Maidu and Washoe people, and that this land was repeatedly taken with no compensation or regard for the lives or the ways of the original people. And looking a little more into the community, Plumas County is it's a pretty large county, and each town is really far apart. Everything is, around 20 to 40 miles apart to the closest town, 45-minute drive on these little mountain roads. And there's a lack of resources. It's because it's so rural. We don't have a crazy hospital system. We don't have a lot of resources and money here, but we do have a really diverse group of people, ranging from agriculture to outdoor rec to second homeowners, the logging industry, Forest Service. We've got a big arts and music culture here, and that's just a few of the different groups of people we have here. And through all of these groups, I think, are connected through the many seasons of fire Plumas County has suffered from. Over 65% of the county has burned in the last few years. There's very little green forest left. And I think that's a major reason that this county is so close. It's a really, really tight-knit group, and everyone really looks out for each other. And I think that has to do with, the trauma of many seasons of fire and people losing their homes and belongings. And so my service year was located out of Quincy, which is the county seat. And it's a small town, less than 5,000 people. This is my interpretation of it. Everyone else might have a different interpretation, but it's super small, very tight knit. Everyone knows each other, a big sense of community, lots of community events and activities going on. And so in my year, I worked with the Feather River Resource Conservation District and La Sierra Food Project. My service year was split between the two of them. So my weeks were split 2 and 3 throughout the year. And the RCD, their mission is to advocate resource conservation through education and collaborative efforts with willing landowners and organizations that promote economic and ecological sustainability. So right now they're really focused on fire restoration and ecology because that is so prevalent in this county. They have a lot of programs either to reforest private landowners or thin green forests, the green forests that we have now. We work really closely with multiple organizations, including the Forest Service, the Plumas County Underburn Cooperative, and really working on forest health throughout the county. And then I worked with La Sierra Food Project, and Their mission is to increase access to local foods for Plumas County residents, prioritizing underserved populations, providing workforce development programs, and creating educational food and farming opportunities. And this is a nonprofit that runs a 2-acre diverse farm in the mountains. And all of our programs, like our farm camp and educational programming and workshops, all run out of this farm. That's basically, it's close to downtown Quincy, right across from our little airport. So the first big project that I worked on in the fall and the winter was assessing our regional food system obstacles and opportunities in Plumas County. So this consisted of me conducting 16 different interviews with producers in the county and agricultural administration. So one-on-one interviews or phone calls with producers to assess their challenges, their successes, and what they think needs to happen in the county that we can better support agriculture here. This is probably going to be repetitive because it's very similar challenges to agriculture anywhere, I think, especially in California. But the challenges consisted of land access and tenure. Land access here is really difficult to get. The valleys, a lot of them are privately owned, or they're already in agricultural use. And if you can get a lease on a land, it's short term and is not super successful in that way. Climate changes, farmers are at threat of their property and infrastructure burning. I had talked to a producer whose hay and feedstock all burned in the Dixie Fire, but she still managed to donate a lot of meat during the Dixie Fire. She lost, I don't know, thousands of dollars in that fire, but she still managed to make it work, of course, along with drought changes and figuring out how to effectively use water in this system as well, even though we're at the top of a watershed. Limited food system infrastructure. We don't have a CSA, we don't have a food hub because we're such a small rural county. We lack a lot of resources that other counties might benefit from. And then we have a lack of a sustained market because our population is so low. Farmers have a hard time generating a market, even if they got, a lot of people to buy local produce. It's just not enough to make a living here just because it's just such a small population. And then community service versus economic viability. A lot of producers here do it out of love, and they make a lot of choices that aren't necessarily business smart, and they have to sacrifice a lot to continue to produce here. And then some solutions that were discussed: support and engage diverse agriculture with ecologically sound practices. That's such a wordy sentence, but basically providing education to agriculture, food systems, or beginning ag, providing support in ways that these producers can continue doing what they love in a more sustainable way that would protect their business. And then advertise local food in the county through media or events. That's pretty self-explanatory. Consistent market, whether that's trying to run a farmer's market or something along those lines. We did get a big grant for the county to get local food into our education system, and that's in the works right now, which is super huge for us. Collaboration between producers, whether it's sharing knowledge or equipment, would be really beneficial here. And then county involvement in agriculture. So basically I wrote this long report assessing these challenges and ways that the county can make changes. We're gonna switch sides. Oh, okay. And I spent a lot of time just farming, hands-on farming. I've been here now, not a full successional season, but I was here in the fall to close up the farm. closed up the farm for the winter, and now I was here through starting up the farm again. So that's, seeding, watering. These starts for felt like forever. Amendments to the soil prep, all kinds of different things, and now we're in full-blown harvest mode. So I've spent many hours farming, and that's an opportunity I don't think I would have gotten had I not been in this experience. And then leading community workshops and events. I've worked with the events for La Sierra Food Project. They run a lot of things. We've got a pumpkin patch, we've got fundraisers, we've got dancing in the dirt, all kinds of things. So support there, and then coordinating all these community workshops for the summer. And we got local experts to teach each one. And so far tonight we have our first cooking class, which is going to be super fun. They're making some kind of salad and an eggplant searing situation, which should be super yummy. We did a compost workshop. It's been super fun to have all these experts come out, and seen a lot of support with the community in these workshops. And then with the RCD, I piloted this reforestation curriculum. I was working with the Plumas Charter School in their 9th grade class. Working with the 9th graders has been super fun and challenging. Teaching is interesting, especially high schoolers, I've found, but it was super fun. We learned everything from forest history and heritage, forest ecology, fire ecology in Plumas County, tree identification, fire prevention and thinning, and reforestation techniques. We had, I think, like 6 classroom sessions and then like 6 field trips. One of the field trips that the students actually got to replant trees on 3 acres of land in Greenville, which was super fun. One field trip, we kind of got snowed out, if you can see on our left. High schoolers are never prepared, I learned, in their little Converse walking in the snow. That was when we were looking at fire regrowth and forest health. And big thanks to Miles, my coworker, who came with me on all our tree identification field trips, where he can answer all the questions that I could not. And then community work days. We led some work days, plant trees in downtown Greenville, which Greenville has burned in the Dixie Fire. So it was super awesome to get the community out there to replant a hillside. And then I worked on the Quincy North Thinning Project, which is a huge project to thin out some of our forest that surrounds the actual town of Quincy. You can see the map on the left is Quincy is down here, and this is the project. Mechanical thinning and hand thinning is proposed. So working with Monica, the project lead, on the biological assessment, the forest plan amendment, and scoping, maps and data management, which was super fun. Big props to Monica for finishing up that report in a year. I definitely couldn't do that much writing. And then with Quincy North, we have to do a bunch of surveys. So surveys that I got to participate in were northern spotted owl, northern goshawk, willow flycatcher, yellow-legged frog, rare plant surveys, carnivore surveys, and timber stand surveys. So you can see these are some of the fun pictures we got from our carnivore traps in the winter, which was super cool. We've got a bobcat and a mountain lion. In the middle, we have our little yellow-legged frog. And then we've got a northern goshawk up on the top, a juvenile we found on the ground, which is really, really rare and cool. And then a rare aster that is found within the project area. And then a funny little picture of Monica because it was freezing. And yeah, so those were basically all the projects that I worked on throughout the year. I had a great time doing all of these things. I love being in the field. Some things I think about now that I wouldn't have thought about before. nonprofit management. I spent a lot of time with the board of directors for La Sierra Food Project and looking at how they run a nonprofit, budgeting, finance, like voting, all those things. That was super interesting. And then climate anxiety, knowing that we need to go and thin so much of the forest, and to efficiently thin, you have to have heavy machinery, and what impacts does that have on the soil? And it's a deep spiral, something to think about for sure. But and then landscape scale management is super challenging, and like just one of the most important things I think in terms of conservation on a landscape scale. And it's how to effectively do that, I think we have yet to figure out as well. And then agriculture is a framework for our society, and the food system is so multidimensional. And if you take out a part of that food system, what happens? The others can't fill that gap necessarily. And thinking about our future and how hard it is to farm in a small scale, and what that will do to our food system in the future when no one wants to farm. And then outreach and media, how to effectively reach across communities. I still haven't figured that out. I think that's a big challenge, especially in such a small town when your inner circle is so close. And then reflections, I think big thing about my year here taking away is community care, when community is such a big aspect of this town and this county. Community care is something that reminds us that we as humans are interdependent, and not everyone has the same access to time and money, and you have to rely on others around you to support you. And I think through my connections in the community, it's helped me drastically through work or personal growth. And I had a challenging year, and I don't think I would have gotten through it without the people in this community. So big thanks to all my coworkers and friends that made my year so special. And that's it. Questions, feel free to ask.
Hey, Jenna, thank you so much for the presentation. That was awesome. I'd be curious to hear more examples of community care or mutual aid around fire and also around food. I mean, it sounds like those are really related, and what that looked like a little bit more.
Yeah, a few examples, easy examples of that. With the Dixie Fire, La Sierra Food Project donated thousands of pounds of food with no compensation, obviously. And I know multiple ranchers that donated their meat as well to families that have lost their homes. I think here, especially in Quincy, is like, you don't even have to ask, or like in Plumas County, you don't have to ask, like organizations will support each other and support the community at no cost so quickly. And I think they're fire and food are so related, because I mean, we don't have a great food system here. We don't have we have 4 producers in the county, and only one of them sells directly to consumers. And so it's really, I could talk about it forever, Chloe, but it's really interesting to see how much producers support this county, and how much consumers support the producers too. It's okay, I'm repeating myself, but it's yeah, I think they go hand in hand, and we're working on how our food system can better support fire victims. That's part of, I think, the next GrizzlyCorps mission. After I did the community needs assessment for agriculture, they're going to dive deeper into fire and food access in that way.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jenna. This has been a really wonderful presentation. I know you've also gotten some appreciations in the chat, and yeah, you've included some amazing visuals, so it's been really awesome to see. And there's some comments about that, appreciating that. But yeah, do we have any final comments or questions? Great, thank you so much.